Red lasers. Most lasers have, yes?
Deviative septum, breathing problems.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love working on sinus situations.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get good results on a situation. Sinuses, how are we doing? The microphone okay? Yeah? Making some funky noises, so.
It's loud.
It is, yeah.
That's the red.
I can switch to the other one if it's easier. That's okay. So the red laser for sinuses, any nose problems. You know, basically the protocol that I do, if there's an issue, I just go right where the issue is. And I just put, you know, if I have the main unit, I use the main unit. This one's a bit stronger. This is a 100 milliwatt laser, red laser. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each wavelength so you understand. It's like a toolkit. You know, each part does something different. For sinuses, work in here, nose problems, or just point right up in the nose. Many of the nose situations, asthma, right up into the nose. Opens up the lung meridian. Great, great work with the red probe. It's busting me out right away. What's that?
How about tinnitus?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, you work sphenoid. I'm going to get in on that in a little bit. Ringing the ears, unwind the sphenoid. And there's a unique protocol that we'll share with you that works really good for doing that. All right, so again, red laser surface. I'm just highlighting real quick, our laser system uses 3 different wavelengths. 3 different wavelengths. Second wavelength that we use with our system is infrared. Infrared, you can't see with the human eye. The human eye doesn't see infrared. Cameras see it, video cameras. If you take a picture, you see a white light shoot out. Infrared is a unique laser because infrared, unlike the red, does not get absorbed by the skin, the muscle, and the nerve. It goes right through those surface cells and goes right into the bone. Study after study shows that infrared lasers increase bone density. Great for cartilage, disc. This is what I used. I had major bone loss above a front tooth from long-standing infection. And I used this, I used the red laser to clean the infection, then I used the infrared to regenerate bone. The most important thing regarding health, and I cannot say this enough, and I suggest everybody really works on their perception around this, because to me, the program that I use, and Deepak's the one who made this famous, the body is constantly growing cells. The only thing your body does ever is to grow cells. Period. Deepak was the first person who came out and said, well, if the body is new in 7 or 8 years, why would someone have an injury 10, 15, 20 years later? Doesn't make any sense. The body's already new. Your eyes are new in 2 days. You have brand new eyes every 2 days. Fastest replicating part of the body. Every organ, every area, tissue has its rate of regeneration. Well, why would someone have an injury 10, 15, 20 years later? Well, Deepak said there's this thing called cell memory. So, you get an injury, knee or shoulder, the cells gravitate, they hold on to that information from that injury. And then the new cells keep coming in, yet they pass the old cell information to the new cell, and that process gets passed on from generation to generation. That happens with emotions in different regions. It happens with thoughts, beliefs. And people carry this stuff like luggage from cell cycle to cell cycle to cell cycle. Well, from my perspective, my attraction to working with this technology is to dissolve that cellular memory and to be able to fine-tune coherent structured light to different tissue depths to be able to invite those cells to replicate and regenerate. Let me explain real quick. What lasers do, the action that lasers do, is they donate photons into the cell wall. It's one of the few technologies, noble gas technologies, deliver photons, but not into the mitochondrial region. LEDs are good, they don't deliver energy into the mitochondrial. Joules, J-O-U-L-E-S. You need a coherent stream of joules of energy to go into the mitochondrial region of the cell, which, when that happens, the mitochondria starts to produce something called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is just a fancy word. All it means is energy, cellular energy. That cellular energy is responsible for regenerating cells. So again, all I'm doing here is I use red lasers to go into the surface cells and activate those regenerating ATP cell energy so cells can get back on track. If I want to go deeper to bone, tendon, cartilage, disc, I use infrared laser. Feels so good. Infrared laser. New studies show FDA agreed, how do you say it? FDA acknowledged a study by another laser company. The laser company showed definitively that infrared lasers can regenerate brain cells and neurons. They proved it clinically, which was really a big deal. I was impressed that FDA accepted. Usually FDA requires what they call prior art, a whole lot of other studies before they accept something really far out. That was a far out study and they accepted it. Well, why is that important? Well, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's are considered to be the result of depleted neurons from heavy metals, mercury, chlorine, gas. Shuts down the high spinning nature of the neurons, which then throws off Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. So again, from my perspective, this is the important piece right here. We have to get back. I don't use the program that the body's no good at finding solutions. I use a totally different program. I have a different program. Program I use says cells love to grow. That's the program that I'm using in my life, and it's accurate. Cells are really good at growing cells. That's all they do. And I'm not here as a scientist to prove that they love to grow, yet for me, that's how it works. They do. By fashioning the program. Yes, sir.
So distinction between far infrared and...
Yes. Typical far infrared technologies and infrared lasers are very different. The wavelength band is different, and this is light. Most far infrared technologies use rare earth minerals, ceramics, and they're emitting infrared wavelength, but in a different energy, a good energy. I like infrared technology. It's a bit more stimulating, and it's very good for circulation and pain. This is using infrared light, which is totally different. It's a laser, and the infrared light it doesn't have the same effect. It goes right through things. There are many published studies online around infrared lasers, and they all show that lasers increase bone density and help regenerate bones. You want to regenerate bone tissue, infrared is the way to go. And most laser companies use red or infrared, and there's big debate. They have an ongoing, debate's a nice way to call it. The companies are very competitive, and the red ones and the infrared ones don't like each other. And one says red's no good, infrared's no good. To me, there is no good and bad. There's just effect. And for many years I tried. The industry has its own kind of pitch points that every company has, and for me, I tried lots of things. And red is great for me for surface. Infrared for me is great for deeper. And then we combine one other wavelength that most companies don't use, called violet. This is a violet laser. This is a 100 milliwatt violet laser. It is the strongest violet laser in the industry. One other company has a violet laser that's a 20 milliwatt violet laser. A lot of chiropractors use violet lasers. They find that it's very powerful for people dealing with emotional stress. Violet light, there's chiros who all they do is scan the body and the organs and check emotions, and they use violet light. They say it clears nonlinear systems. Very good for the chakras, very good for the meridians, for the nadis, for emotions. There's new studies that show a connection with violet light and stem cells. To me, violet light's great for activating nonlinear systems, stem cells, telomeres, telomerase. There's a great book I read years ago. Long before I got into lasers, I read this far-out book by some doctor who's probably not even well known. He wrote this book about violet light affecting certain genetic enzymes, high spectral enzymes. In other words, saying that most people's genetic... In other words, the view was that... this is really kind of far out. The view was that basically... This is a great day to talk about this. I never talked about this. Basically, the view, according, is that people have a very low spectral enzyme situation in their cells. So by eating meat and eating all sorts of different things and the toxins, the spectral range enzymatically is very vibrationally low. And the view...
Spectral, do you mean the light range, the range of light?
Yeah,
frequencies?
exactly. So basically the view was that we have the ability, and the violet light helps to activate these higher spectral enzymes, genetic enzymes, things like telomerase, cytochromase oxidase group enzymes. By activating these higher spectral enzymes in our cells, the view is that we can absorb light as food. So we can literally be stellar beings, which of course we are. This gets back to your question a little bit. If we fashion the anatomy to be able to absorb, radiation isn't necessarily bad, cosmic radiation, neutrinos, all this stuff's not bad unless we haven't developed resources in order to process it. It's the universal energy. We just have to figure out we can process it with our subtle faculty. We have to find ways to activate the high spinning nature. My real fascination and interest in lasers really has to do with what we do to the light to spin it into a higher spinning state. To me, my real passion is alchemy. And in alchemy, there are different states in the universe. You have different states in the universe: solid, liquid, gas, and ether. 4 key states in the universe, defined by one thing. All those states are energy, the only difference being how the electron spins. If the electron spins slow, you have solid. If it spins faster, you have liquid. If it goes faster, you have gas. If it goes really fast into what's called a Cooper pairing, or now it's getting popular, monoatomic, they call it Ormus. Monoatomic, Brownian motion, all references to this high spin state of the electron, where the electrons no longer stay in an isolated state. They're now in this transition state. Well, to me, we are made of high spinning electrons, monoatomic Ormus energy. The white matter in the brain, the spine fluid along the spine, the sexual fluids, the lymph, all high spinning electrons. So my goal, my passion, everyone go ahead and take a big breath in. Just drop right in. My goal in constantly dropping into still point is to constantly be saying, come on, neutral energy, come in and start spinning up all these electrons. Get the lymph system going. Get the white matter going. Get the nadis going. Get that nice energy along the spine going. Open up the amrita and the bliss. And my attraction to lasers is that lasers are to me, we're using light, coherent light, and then we're finely tuning. And I want to touch on this, because I just touched on, I want to cover one more thing about our laser technology that to me makes it different than others. I want to be careful, because this laser industry is highly competitive. And I always tell people in our network, don't bite. A lot of people will come up and they have bad things to say about every company, and you'll hear stuff about our company, and just say, great, thanks for that information, I appreciate it. Because what drives the industry is putting everyone else down. And to me, we can't put others down. It's light. All lasers are good. All lasers are light. How could light be bad light? Not possible. So, from my perspective, there are a couple of subtle distinctions to what makes our laser, to me, the one that I like to use, and that's what I'm sharing with you. And the first one is that we have 3 wavelengths: red, infrared, and violet. Red for surface cells, infrared for deeper cells, and violet for nonlinear systems. DNA. They mapped out the entire human genome using violet light. Violet light mapped out all the different slight variables of the human genome. That's how powerful violet light is. Violet light can read stuff. They used to use red for DVDs. Then they got blue. You get all the 3D. When they use violet for high, they're going to have virtual technology. Violet light can hold and process so much information. You can process why? Because violet, in the color spectrum, you have white light through a prism, red through purple. Violet's the first color that's unified. That's why every tradition calls it the color of transformation. It unifies all the colors and activates it back into white, which is why violet light. You have the different colors, violet, white. It's alchemy. So the violet laser, from my perspective, it unifies things and it opens them up, and it simultaneously activates nonlinear systems in the body. So if I want to activate lymph, I put the violet probe on. It doesn't even matter what you do with it. If I want to activate white matter, if I want to activate stem cell, studies now showing violet light affects stem cell production in the body. So again, red, infrared, and violet. We have one other technology in our laser, which I'm not going to talk about right now. Let's do a protocol together, and then we can talk more. My brain doesn't want to work. Let's do a protocol, and then we'll cover some more. Does that make sense about different wavelengths? Yeah? Yes, please. If there's any questions, yes.
When you say it's the way you spin the light,
Yes.
are you saying that you have a process where you flow the light through some sort of mechanism and it spins it, and that the light keeps the spin?
Yeah, sort of, kind of, but not exactly. Basically, what I'm saying is that there's 3 or 4 things that we do to affect how the light actualizes, having to do with how we place them in a particular layout that has an effect on an elliptical orientation, which affects the spin state. So that's one variable. The second is that we digitally process each laser light. So the light comes out, and it's digitally, the light is coming out in a rounded way, which makes the light not collimate, and it softens it and kind of goes like that. Basically, what we do is we dimensionally change the light. So instead of light traditionally coming out, and there's 3 or 4 things we do to get that effect. Normally light would come out and it'd come in a collimated way to the body, and you pulse it with frequency. What we do is we take the light and we dimensionally dissolve it, and then we weave it again, and then we dissolve it in waveform, in scalar waveforms, different circuits.
Also, that circuitry is on board.
It's mechanical, so it's actually the layout. It's what we do to the actual collimation of the beam, and there's 2 or 3 things we do digitally to make sure that it has that dimensional effect. You know, to me, the real, can you hold on pictures, please? Thank you very much, I appreciate it. It's the key to what we do is really the nonlinear technologies, the processing. We have a microprocessor in here, and the processor is designed to open, it's a secondary technology called scalar wave technology. And the technology is a whole second part to our laser system. The laser is one part, the scalar technology is the second part. And the scalar technology has one goal, totally different than the laser. The scalar technology is designed, laser is designed to send energy in to regenerate cells. You have an injury, put it over, red lasers are going to do surface, infrared, violet. The scalar part inside is designed to dissolve and clear cellular memory. Dissolve and clear cellular memory, which to me is the part that is very exciting from my perspective. That's the part to me that that makes me really passionate. Really, what most lasers pitch is as a pain relief device. And while I sell a lot of lasers for pain relief, our #1 goal is as a transformational tool. And the key to being a transformational tool is the scalar part of the technology. The scalar part of the technology takes an ordinary kind of laser technology and turns it into a technology that's effective for dissolving and clearing cellular memory. Same way, you all cleared cell memory. How'd you do it a little bit ago when we did that? You took the breath in and you breathed out. You dropped in neutrality. Right? Well, when you drop in neutrality, information, like the old cassette tapes. You know, you have cassette tape and you have some information on there. You want to put something new on it, you hit erase. That information deletes, it goes away. It flips the polarity, the information goes. Well, in our lasers, we do the same thing using scalar technology. We're weaving scalar waves. When they intersect, they dissolve, they collapse, and the cell memory, the information, goes with it. Does that make sense?
Is it a scalar generator?
It's a good question.
And mine's kind of related, and that is
Yes.
you actually have physical devices that can measure and read the feedback on scalar or on the dissolving that you're talking
That's it.
about.
Yeah,
Or
that's
is that
it.
an inner sight piece?
Yeah, that's a good question. They're both great questions. They're both great questions. I'll try to answer them. Let me qualify. I wouldn't call this a scalar generator because the notion, a lot of companies say you can send scalar waves. And the reality is you can't send scalar waves. As soon as you send a scalar wave, it's no longer a scalar wave. This is the long-standing debate about scalar energy, of which there are a lot of experts, and I am not one of them. Yet, from my perspective, I'll tell you what we do. From my perspective, what we do, we don't send scalar energy. That is not the goal of this technology, because scalar waves don't move. In other words, scalar energy, traditionally, I discussed this the other night, traditionally waves go like this. They start at one point, and they go in a direction. The wave goes in a direction. They're going from one point to another. That's traditional wave dynamics on planet Earth. Well, the scalar world doesn't work like that. The scalar wave isn't going anywhere. The wave goes like this. The past and the future are going like this. They weave perfectly into the present. There's no wave, really. It's not a wave like we think of wave. It's a field, perpetual field. Tesla called them standing waves, which is really a better name for them because they're standing in one place. They're not going anywhere. And he said that these waves were all around us. They were everywhere. The universe was teeming with this vibrant energy that's not detectable very easily. Well, to me, scalar energy is the same thing as prana or chi or universal energy. Is this on, Joe?
The microphone's on.
Yeah? Speakers on?
It's
Not
not,
to the mic,
it's not as bad.
I mean, not to the speaker.
Peek it up a teeny bit, would you, kiddo? So, so,
So it's the same as prana and chi?
you know what, Kedar, just cue that one in, would you?
It's good.
Yeah? Okay, let's use this chart. Will that work for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all can hear me pretty good like this, yeah? Chin. In fact, bring that thing over here. No, do that, I'm sorry, we're gonna use this because I'm walking in for the video, it'll be significantly different if I don't. Sorry. You tell me to do that. So scalar energy is all around, and the challenge for so many people is that they are holding on to things, injuries, cell memory, and when the cells start holding on to things, they're no longer absorbing that field that's all around us. So our laser doesn't send scalar energy. What it does is we take waves. In fact, let me just touch on this, because the most easiest way to understand a scalar wave is through the medical symbol. Our medical symbol is a perfect scalar wave.
The caduceus?
Yes, the caduceus is a scalar wave. A scalar wave has to be at 180 phase. In other words, perfect symmetry. If it's not perfect symmetry, it's not a scalar wave. So here's what happens in a perfect phase wave. The wave goes like this, it comes up. DNA is also a perfect scalar wave. It comes up, it collapses. Where it collapses, the positive and negative, they dissolve, opens up a chakra. That medical symbol is an ancient key. I call it the scalar key of the universe. It's the key that's been passed down by the Egyptians, by the yogis, by the folks in South America. It's been passed down, it's been passed down by the Judeo-Christian tradition. Every people on planet Earth, including the Western medical model, uses that symbol because, can we hear me? Yeah? Good. Because that symbol is a key to the circuitry of the human anatomy. That literally is the most important, to me. Everyone's looking at these books and everything from the planet. That piece of language is, to me, the most powerful passed down language that I've ever seen. Because it is a direct reference to the positive and negative nadis or central currents that come up the spine. The right one comes up and activates the right side of the brain, left side of the brain. The left one comes up and activates the right side of the brain. When they both balance, it opens the frontal lobe. And then you have the staff. And then you have the gland that opens up for the bliss and the amrita. That is the subtle faculty of the human condition. And at each juncture where the scalar wave comes together, it opens up a space. And then it comes to the next one, because whenever positive and negative are perfect symmetry, when they hit, they have to shift. They shift into another dimensional state. The energy has to go somewhere, so when they cancel each other out, it just phase shifts to another subtler, nonlinear space. So you have nonlinear, then this is the linear. Same thing with the galaxy. By the way, this is the exact same thing with the galaxy. Galaxy going around this big vortex, this big orbit. Positive, negative, positive, negative. When those two come together, dissolve into the space, which drops right into the universe. This scalar key is an actual representation to the language to traveling through the galaxy and back to the universal state. The nonlinear equation language of the universe. So what we do is we take the laser and we weave digitally. Our patent, which got cleared recently actually, is it weaves the light. We have different circuits of light and we weave them into these scalar waves. So whenever they cancel each other, what they don't send out scalar energy, what they do is they open up, very subtly, they open up into nonlinear space, the scalar state. They very subtly open up into that space. And the purpose of why they open up, by the way, this is the exact same thing that happens in still point. You have breathing, positive, negative, and then you just drop into the neutral state. Everyone go ahead and drop right in there. So for me, when I drop into this space of still point, to me, I'm just dropping into the scalar state of the energy of the universe. And with the laser, when we're doing this, the only reason we're doing it is so when we're using it over a knee or a shoulder, that opening invites those cells. It says kind of, oh, neutrality. The cells start to, just like when you take a breath out. It starts to invite whatever fixation is holding there. You see, all karma is, all anything is some fixation state in this range of polarity. Whatever it is, some state that's still fixated. Well, from my perspective, any state that's fixated, I want to say, great, nice, I'm glad you're here. And that doesn't mean it doesn't exist anymore. I'm not saying you're not good, you need to not exist. I'm saying exist, but you have to be able to exist in the full waveform of your existence. Because when you exist in the full waveform of your existence, at any moment you can drop into the neutral essence state. So I love the body. I'm not the kind of yogi person that says, oh, wait, we got to ascend or go somewhere else or what have you. This thing is fantastic. I mean, this is like, and how much more of a total treasure when we can have it in every moment and at any moment collapse it into the essence, expression, beyond, flowering, and back into the body. That's totally far out. That's like, whoa, that's a good play. And it's new here on planet Earth. The last age wasn't like that. Great yogis and teachers, here's what they did. They went to the wilderness. They took their energy, what they call the outgoing sense energy, and they pulled it in. And they pulled it up. And then they came back, but they were really on another state. They just said, I'm not going to really do that whole dance. From my perspective, the beauty and blessing of this new season is that we can be in this experience and experience that sense experience of community with all life and the planet and the physical. And at the same point, we don't have to have that energy totally pulled out. See, most people, this is a vessel. And most people get so into all the things here, what they want, what they, friends, relationships, things, that the energy is constantly going out and being washed out like a vessel that has holes in it. Well, in the old age, the yogi, the mystic, would pull it in and go up internally. From my perspective, this new season, we can cultivate this energy, we can experience what's out here, and it can be subtle and rarefied so that it can activate this energy along the spine. A tree, this energy comes up, it activates, it purifies, it opens the glands and the nectar. And the key to that, scalar. Scalar.
Yeah, so if you do quantum opening, and you do this kind of prana breathing, and you go in where you feel that space and everything keeps dissolving, and
Yes.
you're more and more this event horizon between the microcosm, macrocosm, all these things are open to me, and I've had this condition for 1.5 years.
Yes.
And so what makes it different than you said this is chi, prana, this is going into the quantum space. If I spend a lot of time in that quantum meditation, why is it not affecting my skin, and what makes this, instead of only that, do it? Is that a fair question?
Whoa. It's a great question. It's fair. I'm no judge of anything, but so let me just slow down because I never want to give anyone the impression that, hey, this is going to fix that.
Well, I'm
Because
just
no,
curious.
listen, because this is really important. This is the key from my perspective.
Okay.
Because whatever's going on there, it's not the laser to fix. I never try to fix, cure, heal anything, and I never view the laser as fixing, cure, and heal anything.
Mhm.
My view is the body has to, when there's a challenge that's not fixed, my view is, well, that's okay, let's take it from here and let's try some new things and see if we see improvement.
Yeah.
If not, so the only way you can know if this helps is if you try it and say, hey, do you see improvement?
Mhm.
And I don't ever give anyone the impression that, hey, get this and go home and you're gonna get fixed or healed.
Mhm.
Because to me, we don't need more disempowering systems. You grew your body.
Mhm.
We gotta take total ownership and responsibility for the truth. It's your body, you grow it, you've been growing it, you've been doing a great job.
I don't believe that. I mean, life is breathing me, it's living me. the conditions have created me, I've made choices because of all those things, as much as I've cleared, it's happening by
Okay.
itself,
Fair
right?
enough.
So, but all I wanna say is, if you were saying I could do it through skill point, chi, all those expansions, and that creates a scalar wave in me, I just wanna know why this
I'm not
would,
saying
does it amplify it, or what? I mean, it's a scientific question, not a challenge. I'm curious, you know.
I don't, simply don't understand the question.
Okay, does anybody?
This doesn't create a scalar wave in you, it offers photons to
Yeah,
yourself.
I'm not suggesting,
It
you're
offers
taking,
photons
Puts
to yourself.
photons into.
yeah, I'm not, like I said, don't believe me, okay?
Oh,
I'm not suggesting that, I'm telling you, I'm sharing my experience with you.
right.
My experience is that it energizes, it dissolves, and opens up this experience for me. Until that's real for you, I'm not saying it's gonna do that for you. I haven't said that to anybody, have I? I don't recall saying that.
Just trying to.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yes, Gator?
So you're not generating a scalar wave?
No,
But
we're,
Photons
but
into
you're,
ATP.
we're inducing, we're opening into the scalar state of the universe.
so your placement of the laser, the lasers, or is creating a space outside of that, or inside of that environment, where what you're saying is canceling it out, and that's what creates, this canceling effect is what creates the standing wave.
Yes,
Okay, so I'm looking in my mind, I'm trying to get the picture of it.
yeah, it's the same
But
thing
you
that
said
happens,
it's not generating it.
No,
It's
it's not
creating-
generating.
It's
In order to
creating an
generate it,
environment
that's right.
where
It's
where
not,
it arises.
that's right.
Okay,
To me, the scalar state is there.
yeah, okay.
It's like no different than the right and the left side of the brain.
But it's scalar, it becomes scalar through the canceling out of that, at that point.
It becomes scalar when there is perfect symmetry.
About perfect symmetry, okay.
In other words, say you had a plumb line or a pendulum, and the pendulum or plumb line, this is why builders, they'll hold the thing and they'll look to see if it's moving. If it's moving, it has polarity. If it's not moving, they say it's true.
Right.
It's true because of the absence of polarity. And so what I'm suggesting is that, in my experience, if I dissolve into neutrality, the injuries, the challenges, the things I have dissolve and feel improved. That's just what happens for me. I don't know if it'll happen for you. And I'm not here to say that it will or it won't. I'm saying, try it if you want. If it works, great. If it doesn't, throw it away. The universe has lots of ways and solutions to find help and assistance from my perspective. The only thing I have is I try a lot of things. So from my perspective, when I see someone in your situation with what you're describing, do you have a name for it? Has anyone checked it out, or is it?
It's the Margellans thing that
Yeah.
has to do with the chemtrails and the GMOs,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
some kind of a natural condition on the skin which attracts a kind of microorganism.
Yeah, I
or
know,
whatever it is.
I'm familiar with it.
Year and a half, a year and a half.
Yeah, that's,
It looks okay on my face, but you should see the rest of my body and how it's been. So I'm really desperately, I have some coming into the very top of my spine,
I
going down into my eye.
And
Whatever it is, it's really on the edge of something new for me. And so I'm just curiously knowing the quantum still point and all the work I'm doing is making me incredibly free inside. But whatever this is there something like this, you said, putting the photons into the cells that could actually bust something this intense, you know, is it possible? Have you seen it?
oh, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. We have many people on our network who deal with chemical sensitivity. There's a great network in the Santa Cruz community of people who, a remarkable group,
Yeah. Lining, septum.
remarkable lines. But again, the key from my perspective is not the lines, it's not the Magellan, it's understanding the anatomy of the body.
Uh-huh.
And when I see someone who's dealing with an ongoing autoimmune, my approach is not the photon, it's the adrenals. Yeah, to me, most people, did you breastfeed when you were young?
Very little,
Yeah,
to work.
classic. Anyone in this situation
And then
usually
tons of coffee.
didn't breastfeed a lot. So the approach that I take in that situation is to do extensive work. The adrenal glands, because if the adrenals are on, which they are for a lot of people, studies show adrenaline and cortisol shuts down the thymus gland. And if the thymus gland is shut down, the white blood cells don't pump, stem cells, lymph. The entire autoimmune system is driven from the thymus gland. And so, a situation like what you're dealing with, anyone comes through with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, Morgellons, Lyme's, the approach is very simple. Unwind adrenals, unwind, 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 open up the thymus gland, open up the thymus gland. And we have many, hundreds of testimonials from people with very significant situations who have turned it around. But again, it's not the laser that did it, it's understanding the anatomy and getting the system to start to shift, turn around, and come back into a state of coherence and neutrality. On that note, let's do a protocol or two. Let's all do a protocol together. Okay, so let's do a protocol together. The first protocol I want to do is our basic unwind protocol. As we do this protocol, we're going to go through 3 or 4 different programs. When we go to each program, I want you to check in with it and see if it feels like a good program for you. And how you do this is really easy how you do this. As you go, we're going to start most folks on unwind. And when you do unwind, I want you to check in, just check in. And we're looking for what we call the still point response. When your body feels like your body is starting to breathe, unwind, and dissolve. If you don't feel it, and I tell people, if people say they can't feel this, I say, well, can you feel when you like the TV show that you like? Because this is the exact same thing as working the remote control. When you turn it, you find something, you don't like it, you go to the next one, you go to the next one. When you find the one you like, you breathe, you relax. Exact same thing. So if you're on unwind and I tell you to check in, and you check in and you're not sure you're on the right program, I'm going to ask you, would you watch this if it was a TV show? And if you can't say yes, it's not the right one. And then I'm going to say go to quantum. The second one, quantum. Third one,